Welcome to the NFP Podcast, where we explore the empowering world of natural family planning. I'm Amy Smith. Join me and my co-host Emily Appledorn each week. Together, we're here to dive deep into the science, the stories, and the spirituality behind NFP. Every week, we push back against the free love culture and advocate for a culture of responsible love, where intentionality and respect are at the forefront of family planning. Join us as we discuss everything from the practicalities of charting and fertility awareness to the profound impact NFP can have on relationships and communities. Whether you're new to NFP or a seasoned pro, our podcast is your go-to resource for honest conversations, expert insights, and real-life experiences. So grab a friend, settle in, and get ready to be inspired. This is the NFP Podcast. Hey guys, it's Amy here. I just wanted to hop on real quick and give everybody a heads up that the recording you're about to listen to, this is the second time it was recorded, and we still had some internet connection difficulties with the couple we interviewed. So if you could just be a little patient as you're listening, as I listened back to it, as far as I could tell, you could still understand everything. It just sounded a little muffled because their internet connection went out a little bit at different points, but it's not throughout the whole thing. So I know you'll still get a lot from the episode. All right, let's jump into it. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, everyone.
Today, Emily and I are joined by Jacob and Mikayla Flores. They're going to share with us a little bit about their love story. I met Jacob when he was an undergrad and my husband was in business school. And then I got to meet Mikayla shortly after meeting Jacob, just a couple, maybe years later. So welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us on. It does seem like we were just at Dartmouth, but that was almost 10 years ago now. So.
I know. It's so great that I haven't gotten older and time has just passed.
Right.
So I don't feel like I have that much, but I'm like, wow, 10 years, that's a long time.
Wow.
Okay, so why don't you guys just share a little bit with our listeners, starting with like how you guys met. How did you guys meet?
It was the summer of 2010 and July, this month actually, and we both went to a church camp, camp. Our diocese put on a camp called Youth Leader, and it was for like the youth, obviously, or I guess it says in the name, but like the youth leaders of the church. And so it was a kind of a small group, and each parish brought probably I would say 5 to 10 students, and we went to a local Catholic high school, and they had what is it called?
They had a retreat center. It was like for 5 days, so it was like an overnight 5-day like leadership focused retreat.
Mm-hmm. And we grew up an hour apart. Our hometowns are an hour apart, so there's probably no way I would have met Jacob or talked to him if we both hadn't have gone to this church retreat. And
yeah, I think our faith definitely brought us together because we did go to different high schools. We ended up going to different colleges. So the likelihood of us meeting was rare. But yeah, I saw Mikayla at this church camp and loved obviously her faith and got to know her throughout the week. And then at the end of the week, I asked for her number and she told me I don't text boys first. So I was like a little intimidated, but also like, okay, all right, I'm gonna like wait a couple hours here and not like act like too excited. But we went on a date and then we dated throughout college, broke up for just a brief time in college, and then we've been married for 7 years now.
So how did you guys get engaged?
It was my senior year of college, and Jacob was playing with the Packers at the time. And it was in the spring, it was April, and he had just been home on a break and said that like this is this is the only break because they were going to start summer workouts or spring workouts. And then, so I wasn't expecting him to be home at all. And they had a long weekend, the weekend after he had left. And he used his long weekend to come home. And my mom took me and my sisters. We actually went wedding dress shopping before I was ever engaged.
Oh,
And
that's
I
funny.
thought it was my mom had suggested, like, let's go look at wedding dresses, like it'll be fun. And I was like, but none of us are engaged. And my sisters weren't dating anybody at the time. And it was but it was like kind of just like, like window shopping. It
Yeah.
was just one of those, like, we're just gonna go look and try on things that we're not gonna be able to afford. And it was fun, and so that it was all planned. It was part of the scheme to get me
Get you
out of the house.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to fly home and surprise Mikayla, but we had been dating for 8 years at that point, and Mikayla is a year younger than me, so we were waiting until she got done with college, got done with student teaching, to get engaged that spring, and then we got married as she took a job and was teaching. And I was still playing professional football at the time.
But we didn't get to hear the details, Jacob. No, Mikayla, keep going. How did he engage? That's what everyone wants to actually hear.
So
how did he propose? Sorry.
My mom and sisters we went shopping, and then we went to mass on Saturday night, which was part of the staying out of the house. And I was very adamant on this certain type of bun. And so we like took a detour to get these, it was like a ciabatta bun or something. And it was just part of the burning time so that this guy had time to get to my parents' house and set up. So we eventually got home, and I thought it was kind of weird that my grandmother who had passed, her driveway was full of cars. And I was like, who's at grandma's house? Because it was like in the process of being sold. And so it was kind of weird, like, oh, someone's buying the house. And it turns out it was Jacob's family's cars, because they're a big family and everybody doesn't just fit in one car and they're coming from all directions. So everyone like went into the house and left me in the car, and then came out and all the lights were out in my parents' house. And I was like, what's going on? Like, Dad's home, we're cooking dinner. And then I saw the candles like by the back door. And then I saw he had put lights. My parents live on the top of a hill, and like there's a river at the bottom of the hill. And so he had put lights guiding me down to the bottom of the hill, like to the river. And I was like, this is like, it still hadn't registered. Like, this is so weird. Jacob is not supposed to be home. And everyone was like on my parents' deck, and I saw my grandma, and I was like, what? Why is Grammy here? And then I like looked down at the bottom of the hill, and he was standing there shaking like a leaf. And I walked down the hill, and he proposed.
Aww, that's so sweet. I know, so cute. Yeah, that's a great story. Okay, so you guys got engaged. I guess before we move forward from that point, let's just pause, since, kind of the topic of our podcast, like the NFP podcast, is really focusing on, the development, your formation, as far as your concept of human sexuality. What is the meaning of, man and woman and marriage? So up to the point when you guys got married, when you guys even met each other, and before you even got engaged, where were you both at in your formation? Was that something, were you aware of the fullness of the church's teaching? Were you practicing that in your lifestyle? Like, however much you'd like to share, kind of where were you at, and from whom did you learn these things?
Yeah, I think so. I think, my parents set a good example. They waited till marriage. And so that was like something that they impressed upon us. And so that's something I wanted to do. And so when we met, we were in high school, and that was like a decision we made, is like, okay, we're going to do it God's way, not do it our way. Right. And so that was like, I think it falls on the man to like lead that or initiate it. And so that's where we were going into it, and we had boundaries, and um it was good to set that up from the beginning, I think. I don't know what your view was.
No, I agree. I was very my parents just always told us like you just wait, like you don't give yourself to a man until you're married. And so I was like, okay, like I'll play by the rules kind of person. And so they said, you don't do this, and I said, okay. But I feel like the teaching was enriched when we went to a uh what who I can't think of who he
Jason Everett.
Jason Everett taught in high school and signed. He had these cards.
Yeah, we still have.
We do still have both of the cards. And at that talk he kind of talked about like why to wait, which is something I had never heard before. I was just told like you're gonna wait pretty much. So that just made it even an easier decision for me to be like, yes, like we will wait till we're married, and kind of have those boundaries in our relationship.
Yeah, and what was cool when we got married is Mikayla had like this purity ring with a cross. I don't know if you can see that. Obviously, the listeners can't see that, but they had it like soldered. Her purity ring was the cross from it was soldered onto my gold band. So that's like part of our story and part of my wedding band now, which is cool.
Oh, that's so special.
I know, that's so cool, guys. And what a great story I don't know, I'm curious if either of you thought about that, about this, because I have a different story and had a kind of a reversion and conversion back to the faith and learning about the truth of human sexuality and the beauty of God's design for marriage and our bodies and all those things. And I think one of the things I really wanted to do was like with God, obviously leading the way, but like, what story was I going to tell my kids one day when they asked me how I met dad and what our relationship was like? Like, I wanted to be really proud of that story. And it might sound like super silly, but when you've experienced like a lot of shame in your story, it's really honorable to be like, oh my gosh, like I have no shame in this story. Like this is just like something to totally glorifies God. Like it is just so beautiful. And it sounds like both of you had that first from your parents. And so did that ever cross your minds as like, wow, this is something like I want to also pass on to my children as like, when they ask us how we met, and that is just laced with the goodness of God and with, waiting and showing just such profound respect for each other? Or was it just like, no, this is just what we're doing, not really forward thinking too much, which is fine too.
I think now it's something I am extremely proud of. And I don't know that at the time I personally really thought about that. But now it's something that's like, I'm very proud of us, and I want to scream from the rooftops that like you guys can do this because mom and dad did it. Like we set an example, and especially in our society now, I feel like it's very difficult. Kellen will be 5 this week.
Yeah.
So in 10 years, like I don't know what that's gonna look like, but I'm very proud, and like I think that they have a healthy relationship, or like what I'm trying to say, like
Yeah, I think for us that like there's a reason why God doesn't just make rules or laws like that don't benefit you. Like sometimes they seem like they're like I don't know what the word is. It's like they take away or restrictive or whatever, but like for us that was the best way to build our relationship is with communication, and the physical gift is like best set in the context of marriage, and so for us it was helpful to build a relationship with the attraction but without like with saving that for marriage.
So do you think it was easy for you guys just because of your personalities, kind of when your parents said, this is just what you do? Like, you just don't have sex until you get married? For some people that would be like, well, why? Like, I need to know kind of more. Do you think like having more of that formation earlier on would have like helped in your zeal for maintaining that? Or did you feel pretty like, no, like pretty gung ho? And then when you found out the why, it was like, oh, this is great. Kind of just like adding, rocket to the engine, if you will.
Yeah, I think you do look up to your parents growing up, but then it is helpful. They don't always. It's uncomfortable for parents sometimes to like have those deep conversations. So when you do go to like a Jason Everett talk or you hear more people explaining the why, I think that's only more beneficial. And that was beneficial for us when we went to like talks like that and we were already a couple. It's like, okay, like that, this is why we're going to continue to do this. Even though it's hard, it's not the easiest thing because you're attracted to this person.
It's really,
So,
But we both love a challenge and we're both very competitive. And so I think we almost like looked at it as a challenge growing up. And so I feel like that helped, was like it helped our prayer life and we saw the graces in our relationship because dating an hour apart and then going to college states apart and being in different time zones, like that's not easy. But I do feel like we received graces by like spending time in prayer, but also like holding our relationship to a higher standard.
definitely. It sounds like your parents gave you the instruction, but you guys will be able to pass on to your kids the instruction and the why, right? Like what we
sure,
believe along with why we do it. And so I think that's going to be so beautiful for your kids.
for sure. I agree.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Okay, so you guys get engaged. And then what was your formation during your engagement time? Did you learn more about, say, like Humanae Vitae, the encyclical from Pope Paul VI, or about theology of the body? What did you have, like, your pre-Cana classes, anything like that? NFP in general, like just like, not basic instruction on like, here's how your physiology is going to work together. Church teaching is this. Kind of what did that look like moving from engagement to marriage?
The pre-Can was helpful, and then we had an NFP class, and obviously that's not something you look up as a college kid, like when I was focused on football. So like understanding like why does it work? How does it work? And that was really helpful because you are about to get married and you do need to like understand the why behind that. Um, but that was helpful. And then the last thing is we had a sponsor couple who went through the pre-Cana questions with us, but then also like you're able to have conversations with them, like what does this actually look like? How do you guys do it? There's different types of NFP, like and that was helpful to have another couple like mentor you before you got married a little bit.
So I feel like we were forced to not go through the motions of the pre-marriage or the pre-Cana classes. Like they were very challenging and asked very good questions. And I think it was very beneficial to like go all in with our sponsor couple and not just like have the box to check off.
Yeah, because they also ask some tough questions like, what if you're not able to have kids? Again, we're talking about like preventing kids or not preventing, but like, being open to life, but like in different seasons, would you adopt? Stuff like that. Those were questions we had never talked about.
All whenever, however we want. It's like, well, actually, no, like I'm called to this self mastery throughout the whole of my life, even within the context of marriage. And I think learning the cycles of fertility and infertility kind of help with that. If nothing else, like at least give you the parameters, to then make those informed decisions as a
Right.
couple. So yeah. So Mikayla, was that something that you were aware of before you guys learned about NFP, like about your body and about cycles and that you knew you had times of fertility or infertility, or was that all new information to you at that point?
It was it was new information, I think. I mean, I took physics or human anatomy and I took like all of those classes, but I don't think I ever actually applied the knowledge in a sense. So it was interesting to take the NFP class and have the NFP sponsor and kind of go through. At the time we went through the Creighton model. So it was just very interesting and kind of beneficial, like putting the puzzle pieces together almost with the instructor and in the class.
But as we were preparing to get married, like some of it's genetics. Like her parents had a hard time getting pregnant, and so Mikayla's a triplet. And this was like before, this was in the early days of like IVF, where the church hadn't like made a rule in. So like that was something going to marriage where like, okay, that could be like really real. Like it could take us a while because for your parents it was that way, you know.
Which is kind of scary. But we were forced to like have those hard conversations about NFP and like what we would do. But I think a lot of it too, I feel like I took charge and didn't let him in for a very long time. And was kind of telling him like he knows about, like he knew the Creighton model, but I don't feel like I let him in to what was actually happening with my body for a very long time.
Even
you're
after,
talking, yeah, go ahead, Amy.
I was gonna say, even after getting married.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah.
Because I also I feel like you're told to start charting to kind of get an idea, but I don't feel like I was consistent in charting until we got married. So then like how much farther behind am I? But it was just hard for me to like let go, or like we're married, I'm giving him my all, but that was one piece that was very difficult for me to kind of let go and like let him in on, if that makes sense.
Did you like think back now, or do you wonder like why was that?
I do, because I don't know why. But now that he with like my body, so he knows. I don't know if it was like, I don't know your perspective.
My perspective is Mikayla's very independent sometimes in college and like likes to do things her way. And the same thing like with the dishes or household chores. It's like, all right, like I do them a certain way, you do them that way, and then it's like my way versus your way. And it's like, no. Wait, we're a team here. Like what? How about we try this together? But I don't know, when you get married, there's so many things. Like we lived together for the first time, and so it's more than just the NFP thing when you get married. That's what I would tell everybody. It's like the first year is hard, and so you're adjusting with a lot of different things. It's like, am I gonna fight Mikayla and like, okay, let me do the chart? It's like, no.
She just doesn't want to do it. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm in my experience working with couples where maybe women guard it more, because I've experienced that in couples that have been married for longer times too. I don't know if Emily, you could speak to that as well, but there tends to be again, just as like kind of the third party person working with couples over time, there tends to be it's a whole nother level of intimacy. It's funny because I don't think it's talked about. I think it's kind of just like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like it's charting. It's like, gosh, this is like a really intimate part like of our relationship and of our physical connection. And I think there's a fear of that intimacy and that closeness. And there's a fear of rejection at the same time. It's, for example, like when you hear of situations where maybe a spouse says like, oh, can we have sex tonight? Who might not be like aware at all about what they're doing with their fertility, or is she fertile or infertile? And it's like, he's asking permission, or he's in a way like demanding, like, so can we do this tonight? Like, I'm getting impatient. I want to just have sex, as opposed to like seeing the whole person. So there's a lot of areas that, conversations that can happen in this aspect of our marriages. I think that can lead to some injury and things being said not the way that we want them to be said or received or something like that. So I don't know. To me, it's not surprising, and it's not, yeah, I don't think it's it's bad. I think it's kind of a natural thing. You get married, to your point, you guys have never had sex, you've never lived together. Like it's a lot of new things. It's like, wow, you're kind of drinking from a water hose and it's like, okay, like kind of moving slow. Like, well, if we can't do the dishes the same way, how the heck are we going to have chart and be on the same page with this? You know, it's like we can't even do the basics together. I mean, I could totally get that. You know, I totally understand that. So, yeah, I just appreciate you guys sharing that because I think that's a very common lived experience that just takes some time. You know, it just takes time growing together and living together. And I think too, someone could hear this and say, well, that's why you should live together before marriage. And I would actually say, so I hear that and I say, that's why you shouldn't live together before marriage. And I think that's why God tells us you shouldn't live together before marriage, because it's a missed opportunity for growth. That's a missed opportunity for intimacy and vulnerability for a husband to say to his wife and for a wife to say to her husband, like, look, this is an area that I'm having a hard time letting you in. And for him to say to her or vice versa, like, but this is an area I want to be let into. And to have that type of conversation, I mean, it's just so personal and special. And that's where we say it's you and him or him and her and God. It takes three, you know, to get married because it requires such a depth that we just don't do as humans. And especially nowadays, right, with all our distractions and technologies and things, like to have those deep conversations. So anyway, yeah, thanks you guys for sharing that aspect of it. Were you going to say something, Emily?
I was just going to say, I think when both the husband and the wife know the model, when you both know the model, you know what the chart should or shouldn't look like, in air quotes. And if I'm not saying, I'm not inferring this was going on here, but I'm just saying, like, in certain situations, if the woman is perhaps noticing her chart doesn't look like what she's expecting, and perhaps she isn't sure where she is with her fertility, or things are seeming confusing, I can, just speaking from experience, I can imagine how that, you know, bringing that to the marriage could create some frustration, especially knowing you guys waited to have intercourse until you were married. And so perhaps an expectation might have been like, we waited, and I'm not saying that you did this, but I think for many couples, we've talked to other couples too, like you wait and you just expect like it should be on your terms. Like we waited all this time, like we deserve, quote unquote, to be able to have intercourse whenever we want. And that just, you know, there's chastity involved in all of that, depending on your intentions to achieve or avoid pregnancy. And so I feel like, yeah, sometimes it's easy to focus on, you know, we're going to abstain, we're going to wait, we're going to do all this. And then like the reality is after you get married, like there are definitely times where you have to avoid genital contact depending on your intentions. So it all can cause a lot of conversations that, you know, are unexpected.
And not just that, and you guys jump in here, but I think what I love about your story and what you guys are talking about too is it's like, but we were like sidelined by like, yeah, the dishes thing or like who's working and what time they're going to be home. It's like, I don't even have time to think about NFP. Like I'm just struggling with like the to-do list here, you know, what's the expectation on a day-to-day basis? Like,
It was student teaching, and which is, I mean, you're moving in for the first time. It's like, hey, he's cleaned the bathroom. Like, you know, like, how do you like the counters clean? Do we have to? And so the first year I think was a lot, but I also think like we always said we didn't want to jump right into having kids right when we got married. And NFP was helpful for us to like, Mikayla says she didn't start charting until the first month, but she was like, when she did it, she was pretty like by the book, just like she said earlier, following, you know, what people's advice were and asking questions when she didn't know, which was helpful. And for the first 2 years, we wanted stuff like that and get out of the apartment we lived in. And we did. And then when we had a house, we were like, okay, now it's a good time to like, I had a job at that point. I was just on the couch trying to play professional football film for us to know like, okay, now's the time to flip it then and be like, okay, we want to get pregnant. And it was like first month because we had been keeping track and charting.
so you guys, it sounds like when you first entered into married life, you guys were kind of going through a transition, right, Jacob? Because you had stopped playing football around that time. Mikayla was working, right? You were finding a job, right? So you felt settled, you felt like at peace and like, okay, now we're ready to try to achieve. And then how easy was that for you guys to try to achieve?
We were kind of going into it. I mean, I know we kind of said a little bit about my parents having a very hard time having us. And so I was just of the mindset like it's gonna be difficult to get pregnant and have a family because it was difficult for my parents. It was difficult for my mom. And so we kind of had the mindset like this is gonna take a while and it's gonna be okay. But then I feel like the first month, both of our hearts were like, we're ready, was when we got pregnant with Kellen, our oldest. So thinking it was going to be difficult, it was actually very easy to get pregnant. And then I feel like my mindset has changed now too, because we've had 4 kids in 4 years or 5 years. Um, we're in the 4 under 4 for another week, and I'm holding on to that 4 kids under 4 or at 4 years old and younger. But I think,
but it's not like it's not like it's just random. It's
no.
like each of the kids is like 18 months apart. Like it's like we've kind of planned out like, okay, like, you know, the baby's like 9 months, like, okay, we've always been open to a big family. You know, we haven't set like a set number on anything, but it's like, okay, like
our hearts start warming up around 9 months. We're like, okay, and then
let's start trying, and then it's like, okay,
by the time
we've been doing NFP, and it's been helpful for us to achieve pregnancy. I feel like,
yeah.
That's awesome, guys. That's so funny.
That's so beautiful.
I know it really is. Yeah, it's so great. It's so interesting too because I feel like it's not something that you can really share with anyone. How do you cultivate a heart that so desires children and families? I just feel like knowing both of you, not that I know both of you to a great extent, but knowing both of you, Jacob, knowing your family, it's like you just have this mindset of like family is a blessing. Like doesn't mean we always like get along great and everything's just like rainbows and sunshine, but like yeah, there's like family is like our life. Like this is what we do. Like we're married for a reason. Like we're married to have children in whatever capacity we're called to do that, but like there's more to life than just kind of us folding in on each other in marriage. And then the joy that comes from it, the struggles and the hardships too, but definitely the joys that come from having more people.
Yeah, it's crazy sometimes. Right now I'm in the middle of paternity leave, like you talked about earlier. I'm People think I'm crazy because I'm taking like 10 weeks of paternity leave, and they're like, I've never heard of such a thing, but it's like that's the most important thing to us is like being a dad and raising kids. And I love what I do for work, but this time with the kids has been awesome. It's also been crazy seeing like how much work it is. Mikayla's a 24/7. She works, I mean, if you call it work, it's a vocation, but it's like harder than I work. They don't call me on the weekends for my job, but it's like and stepping into that and helping more. It's been very eye-opening and challenging, but also beautiful at the same time. It's like, man, these kids make a huge mess, like just for breakfast and just throwing cheese at each other this morning. And then we're swimming this afternoon, and it's like, I love this, it's like it's the good with the bad.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, the good and the hard all at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, it's a blessing, Jacob. Your job allows for paternity leave for so long. That's such a blessing for your family. So yeah, so great. Okay, I'm trying to think going forward from here, I guess. So you guys just had baby number 4. I think I guess we can kind of wrap up. I mean, I feel like we've said the key points here. What are some, I guess, big takeaways that you guys have had so far in your marriage? With with expectations, like has that realm of and again, don't have to, let's not confession. So we don't need to like go into crazy detail, but like, your intimate life, like how has that matched or not matched, I guess, your expectations for how you thought it was going to look?
I feel like kind of like how we were talking about in the beginning of marriage, you go into, or society is feeding you all of these expectations, or things that, or ways that your marriage should maybe look. But I think that it's been so refreshing and nice kind of stepping away from what we're being told a marriage looks like by society, and just kind of taking it to prayer, and really like what are we striving for as a family, and how does our relationship look. I think we built our relationship on communication, and kind of what we were saying earlier too is that like we have received so many graces, and just been so blessed in our relationship and in our marriage, and there's no other place that is coming from besides from God. So it's very reassuring, and like it brings a lot of hope and joy knowing that we can just pray about our family and pray about our marriage, and and it's just, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's a gift. Like
Yeah.
that's what you're getting at. And for me, I think growing up, like I'm in a football locker room, so you hear it all, and like it's mostly focused on like pleasure and like very selfish. And then it's like maybe you're not with that person the next day, and so you hear it all. But what I've seen, the gift of intimacy is like it brings you closer together. And that wasn't an expectation that, I mean, you maybe hear about it going in, but it's like, that's, I think, what one of the biggest benefits in marriage. It's for like, obviously, God designed it to be pleasurable, but to bring you and your spouse closer, I think has been the biggest thing that I didn't expect going into it.
Oh, so beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for your time tonight. We really appreciate it. And congratulations again on Colby. He's just so cute. Is
He's
everybody
beautiful.
enjoying him? I imagine the kids are enjoying him a lot.
Yes, they're all obsessed. They fight over who can hold him.
Who pushes the stroller?
Oh, cute.
They're too lovey sometimes. We're like, hey, don't kiss his face, don't kiss his lips, like.
Right.
How many boys and girls do you guys have?
We have 2 boys and 2 girls.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. I sent y'all pictures of the engagement, our engagement, so to be a bit off.
Yeah, I saw it. That's super cute. Yeah.
And then I'll send one of the whole family recently here.
Yeah, the baptism. I'd love to see that too.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, thanks guys again. Really, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you guys have a great summer. Congratulations again.
Thanks
Bye,
for
guys.
doing this, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good night.
That wraps up another episode of the NFP Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found our discussion enlightening and empowering. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please connect with us by sending us an email with your questions and stories to thenfpshow@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with more insights, tips, and heartfelt conversations about natural family planning. Until then, love responsibly.